In the last video of this tangram series, I alluded to ways of cutting tangrams from things, and I decided that instead of alluding to it and saying just figure it out from what I'm doing, that it needed its own video. So here it is. So let's say you've got, if you have cards, if you have decorated paper, something you just like to make tangrams of and then sort of mix them up and see what happens. This is how to do it. The first thing you need is a square, and you might have a square handy that you can use to put on there, but sometimes you don't have a square handy or not the right size. Like that. I'm going to start with lined paper. It doesn't have to be lined, but I'm using lined paper, and part of the reason why I'm using the lined paper is because I kind of like the fact that that there's some lines to refer to. Now I want to make my square 4 inches. I don't have to decide on a particular size, but I want mine to match these ones on the left. So I'm putting a little line there. You can see it's just above one of these printed lines. And then I'll take this paper, I'll fold it, I'll bisect the bottom left corner, which just means folding up the paper so that one edge matches the edge that's next to it. Okay, so you've got two reference places now. You've got this line, this folded line, and you've got the height of the square that you want, whatever that is. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to connect those reference points by folding up the paper, having one edge fold land on one point, one end of this fold land on the line that I created, and the other one is going to land on the fold. Now if I'm having trouble seeing that, I'll just have to turn my paper. Sometimes I'm hiding that point a little bit when I'm making the fold. So now it's lined up on those two places. I create a fold, and look, it's an isosceles right triangle. I'm going to draw out these edges of the fold that I just made, and there's my square. Okay, so you can make a square of any size you want using this method. You don't have to start off by saying 4 inches. You can just start off saying, oh, that big. There we go. Okay, so now I'm using this square as a template. And I kind of want both of these pink parts to be on my card, so I'm going to have my card kind of at this funny angle. And now I'm going to outline this whole shape. And you know, let's see, there we go. If you press down hard at the edge, I'm having sort of hard time seeing the edge because on the white, but just hold down the edge, and even though I'm making this sort of raggedy line, there'll be a clear line to look at. There we go. Be careful not to move anything. And you know, if for some reason it's a little bit wonky in some places, it'll be fine. So now I'm cutting out my square. So this is going to be the size of the tangram that I'm folding. Next thing, I want a straight edge. And you know what? I could actually, the edge of my card is my straight edge, the part that or I can use a ruler. I want to use the edge of my card just because it seems handy. And I'm going to make this X or T, this cross, joining the corners of my square. Now, I'll be cutting all the way through on one, but not all the way through on the other. And I can look over here and decide which one I want to cut all the way through on. I think I'm going to cut here. Yep. Now I've got two of my pieces. Over here, I'm not going to cut all the way through because I don't want to cut this part, this top part of the triangle when it's in this orientation. I want to cut it in this line in half and have it parallel to the one below. So the way I'll do that is I could fold this all the way across and make a fold line. Sometimes I don't like the cut that happens on a fold line, so I'm folding this down so it touches right there to the bottom, right? And making these little marks. And oh, I'm going to use one of these to create the line to draw on, although I might not need to do that. There we go. Okay. Now I can cut this line, but I'm not going to because I need to make two more lines. I'm going to actually use this little piece to help me. One of the lines is going to be from the top to the bottom here. And make that line. And the other line is going to be parallel to this one, but it will also end up having part of it right there. There you go. Okay, so now I cut all my lines. And I've got the pieces for my tangram. Now I can take these and put them together in different ways just to sort of see a whole new design, which I've done actually with this card, and I put them together in a different way. Or I can take other ones that I've done the same thing with and make a bunch of and put them together so that I have just something kind of completely different. And let's see, put this one over here. And so yeah, if you've got decorated papers you can do this with, or let's see, I think it's fine. And then, you know, you can also just make some nice, interesting, different kinds of symmetrical designs that'll have a different kind of look to them than other things you might have done, because you're using things that have different designs on them. So yeah, something else to do. This is great to do with kids or yourself, because it can give them a sense of geometry that they might not get. Now remember that this piece has a funny symmetry, so you can't do a symmetrical design, completely symmetrical design, without turning one of them over, which is fine. And maybe though I'll do this. And try not to move your paper like I just did. And yeah, I love this. And here, I'll put this on top. Okay, so have fun. Beautiful things. Cut up those old cards.